Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to this month's episode of First Fridays. First Fridays, your monthly opportunity to pause, to reflect, to grow in faith, love, life, and everything in between. Welcome to October. Wow, 9 months down. For today's topic, we are going to be unwrapping something we all need but often underestimate, and that is the gift of community. If you have ever felt alone in a crowded room, or if you've been carrying a secret win with no one to celebrate, or maybe even a heavy burden with nobody to help you carry it, then this episode is for you. There's a scripture we find in the book of Ecclesiastes that many of us know. I think it goes something like two are better than one, and if one of them falls down, one can help. If either of them fall down, one can help the other up. And it's found somewhere in Ecclesiastes 9, I want to say 4, chapter 4, verse 9, or somewhere there. Don't quote me, I might be wrong, but it is in Ecclesiastes. Anyway, this scripture, it's famous for being quoted on engagement announcements, at weddings, but it's not really just about or for romance. It's also God's blueprint for thriving in everyday life. God's idea for us is community. It's not a luxury add-on. It's really a spiritual discipline and a survival strategy. You see, as we grow older, the friends we nurture become some of life's most treasured, greatest treasures. Good friends matter because they anchor us when life feels shaky and uncertain, and they celebrate us when life feels bright. They remind us that we don't have to carry everything alone. The beauty of community is not in just the milestones, but in the everyday, walking through life together, step by step, year by year. So, today we're going to talk about why community is essential, not extra, how to cultivate it, especially if you're shy, if you're busy, or if you've been bruised by past experiences. I'm going to share with you what I feel is a healthy community. So, what a healthy community looks like, and what it looks like in different seasons of life, during seasons of celebration, seasons of sorrow, or even seasons of rebuilding. So, go ahead, grab your cup of tea, take a breath, and let's dive right in. All right. In the book of Acts in the Bible, we learn that the early church devoted themselves to teaching, breaking bread, and prayer. They were just being together. What was the result of that? There was tremendous joy, generosity, and growth. For sure, yes, miracles were there, miracles happened, but the everyday miracle was the togetherness. I'll share a little story with you. A while back, I was talking to someone on the phone, and she said to me, I feel like I'm drowning, but I don't want to burden anybody with my problems. So I asked her, hey, if a friend or someone that is very close or near and dear to you was drowning, would you want them to just wave cheerfully and go under? Or would you want them to shout out for help? I'm just paraphrasing this conversation, but you can imagine on the other end, there was silence. She was contemplating this. Then the next thing I heard was the sound of sobbing, tears. You know why? Because community is the difference between that silent sinking and an honest rescue. She knew in that moment what she really wanted. She wanted someone to reach out their hand and pull her out. You see, when we keep ourselves in isolation, isolation has a tendency to whisper lies. It whispers lies to us. Lies like, you're not good enough, you're not wanted, you don't belong. But real and true community, it tells you the truth. The truth about God's goodness, about how much you're loved, how much you're needed, and about your worth, right? About what's possible in your life. So, if there's anything you're going to take away today, take away this. Community doesn't make life perfect. It doesn't take away the sorrow and the pain or even the joy. It doesn't make life perfect. It makes life possible because it makes things bearable when you share that burden with others. So, let's take a little moment and get real about some of the things that get in our way. What are our barriers to creating this community that is so important for each and every one of us to have? I picked a few, but I'm sure you can think of more. And if you do, please let me know. I'd like to hear. Send them through when you watch this video, send them through in the comments. And I'd like to know what you think. Ah, this tea is so good. I love my herbal fruit teas. This one is, and by the way, small fact about me, I love to mix two different types of tea bags as long as the fruits sort of go together. So I've got mango and strawberry in one tea bag, and I think I have, I think this is summer fruits in another tea bag. So it's really going down well. Anyway, I digress. Barriers to community. We have to name them to tame them. All right, the first one is hurry. We are always in a hurry. If the calendar is crammed with activities and things to do, then there is no room for people. Love requires that we make that margin, and free up space on our daily schedules. So always hurry, always busy. Number two, fear and past hurts. How many times have you heard people say, I've tried it before and it didn't end well? You know what? Healing takes time and boundaries help. But isolation will not heal what community broke. Isn't that funny? Community could break you, but isolation cannot heal what community breaks. What you need in these cases is a healthy community, a community that it will help heal what an unhealthy community harmed. That's why boundaries are important, because you become selective about who you allow in your community. Another barrier to what gets in our way to creating this close knit community for ourselves is perfectionism. Whew, I will show up, I will show forth when my life is together. That's when I will invite people into my world. No, we bring our becoming to community, not our perfection. Nobody's perfect, by the way, but everybody's on a journey, and we bring that journey to our community. Number four, right? Four is comparison. Remember, social media posts are highlight reels. I read somewhere something that really stuck with me. It said, nobody posts their failures on social media. Real life has awkward pauses, imperfect schedules, and unmatched mugs. That's where real belonging grows, when you can just be free to be your authentic self. So then now we know what some of the barriers are. What then does a healthy community look like? I'm going to share with you 5 things that I think, in my opinion, mark a healthy community. The first one is presence. They show up. We show up. The Bible tells us in the book of Hebrews to not neglect the getting together, the meeting together. Presence beats polish. This means that people don't remember the clean house and the polished settings at your table, the flawless table setting. Thanksgiving is coming up in Canada. It's not about the flawless table setting. What people will remember is that you were there. If I can explain that a little bit, it's easy to think that we need to have things in order before we invite people in. A friend of mine once told me that she almost canceled a dinner get together at her house that we had planned because she felt that her house was spotless and she only had spaghetti and meatballs to serve. But thank God she didn't cancel. She lit a candle, she put that pasta on the table, and the three of us women ended up sitting there laughing, crying together for hours. One of the ladies later said, "That night saved me. I was feeling so alone." Imagine what could have happened in moments of isolation if that dinner had been cancelled. Because isolation leads to all kinds of depression and suicidal thoughts. We sat there, we laughed, we talked. No one cared about the dust on the shelf or the chipped plates or whatever was imperfect in that moment. What mattered was that someone had opened the door and let us all in. That's the power of presence. It doesn't have to be perfect to be life changing. Number 2, indicator of a healthy community is prayer. People in that community carry each other to Jesus. We carry each other to Jesus. It's an intercession first community, not advice first. Not so long ago, I was going through a moment where I felt so overwhelmed by life, work, family pressures. And for some reason, which was surprising because I'm not really someone who typically shares their problems, but I found myself sharing with a close friend my long list of everything that was going wrong. And for many people, especially like myself, we like to be problem solvers. I always say I'm a firstborn, hey, and this is a firstborn problem. We have to be a problem solver. So our first instinct is to give solutions to the problem. Try this app, or have you thought of delegating this to somebody, or did you try saying this to them? But when I was sharing with my friend, what I noticed and appreciated the most was that she didn't go straight into problem solving mode. She simply asked, "Can I pray with you right now?" So, you know what? We bowed our heads in the middle of that busy cafe. No fancy words, but she just said a simple prayer. "Lord, give her strength for today, peace for tonight, and hope for tomorrow." When she was done, I'm telling you guys, I had tears streaming down my face. It was the first time in a long time that I felt like I could breathe. I felt seen. I felt safe. And that moment reminded me that prayer isn't a last resort. Prayer is our first response. Prayer doesn't have to be long or polished or elaborate and eloquent. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do for each other isn't fixing the problem. It's just bringing it straight to God together. Sila. Number 3 of indicators, in my opinion, Jessica's opinion, Jessica's opinion of healthy indicators of a healthy community. Number three is practice. The community that opens their Bibles, opens their calendars to make room. They serve, they study together, they laugh together, they eat. They do these things consistently. Practice, which means it's a practice, it's something they do all the time. Consistency creates safety. I was watching TV, some weird TV show. I can't remember what it was called the other day, not so long ago. And I heard of a family that hosts a soup night every Thursday. No RSVPs necessary, no pressure, just soup and an empty table, open chairs. So over time, neighbors, co-workers, and even lonely strangers started joining in and coming to the soup night. It wasn't fancy, but because it was consistent, people knew that they could count on it. You know, when you can count on something because it's so reliable, that creates an element of safety. And I'm talking about relationships as well. Safety, because you can count on somebody. We know that consistency builds trust. Community grows in those rhythms of consistency, not random bursts of affection today and it's gone the next day, and you don't see the same behavior for months, and then boom, another burst of, hey, I'm here for you, and then gone. Like, it's the small, steady practices that knit us together. Number 4 is protection. We honor boundaries. So this is a community that honors boundaries. There's no gossip. There's no trying to fix people. There's no spiritual shortcuts. We challenge with love and with permission. I was once part of a women's Bible study group where one rule was very clear. What was shared in the circle stayed in the circle. That group became a safe place because we knew that our struggles, when shared with those ladies, wouldn't turn into someone else's highlight story at their next brunch. When someone shared something heavy, nobody tried to fix them with quick advice, but we simply listened, we prayed together, and we walked alongside each other. Protection creates that kind of safety where healing and honesty can actually happen, where people can be vulnerable because they feel safe. And the last one is participation. Participation is a sign of a healthy community. You know why? Because everybody brings something. And the Bible even refers to this in the book of Corinthians. I think it's the first book of Corinthians. Some people bring meals, some bring music, some bring Excel spreadsheets. Yes, Excel spreadsheets is a gift. Those who know me know that I'm the queen of Excel spreadsheets. I Excel spreadsheet everything. Growing up, my mom used to host one of our church small fellowship groups at our house. I think it was Friday nights. I can't remember, but anyway, once a week. And I would always notice that one lady would always bring the dessert. Another lady would always be the one who takes the notes and sends out the reminders. Those days it wasn't email or text or whatever, just actual phone calls reminding people of obligations or responsibilities for the next study group. There was a guy who would play his guitar for our worship. And if you're watching, hey. And someone else would quietly clean up at the end. Different roles, but same goal, to have a successful study group. No one had to do everything because everyone did something. That's the beauty of community. It's not about equal gifts because we're not gifted the same. I always tell my kids, if you look at your hand, your fingers are not the same height. That means they do different things, but without each other, your hand can't really function properly. That's the beauty of community. Equal gifts, sorry, not equal gifts, but equal participation. So, I have a question for you. If you had to name two gifts that you bring to your community, what would they be? Hospitality, encouragement, administration, listening, teaching? I don't know. Send me a message. Put it in the comments. Tell me. I would love to know. So, prayer, presence, participation, protection, and prayer, presence, practice, participation, and protection. Those are the 5 marks, in my opinion, of a God centered community. None of them require you to be perfect. They don't require perfection, they just require heart. So, by the way, community doesn't always look the same in every chapter of our lives. Just as nature, as you see outside, we go through different seasons. Our friendships and our faith circles also shift depending on whether we're in times of joy, times of pain, or times of rebuilding. So we have seasons of community. So, in the season of celebration shared is joy multiplied. Without others, wins can feel oddly empty. Think about blowing a birthday cake, the candles on your birthday cake by yourself versus with friends cheering you on. Same cake, but totally different experience. When good things happen, like you get a new job, you have an answered prayer, it's a birthday, your children are graduating or reaching certain milestones, community gives us people we can celebrate with. It keeps us humble and yet joyful. And we can rejoice without shrinking our joy. Have you ever been with people you're not safe with to share your wins? You can't really be like exuberant in your celebration because you're not safe. But in a safe community, in a season of celebration, you can feel safe to say, hey, can you celebrate this win with me? And then there's seasons of sorrow. Hardship feels lighter when carried together with others. We don't need people to fix us in those seasons or to fix things. Sometimes we just need people to sit with us. A grieving friend doesn't need a perfect Bible verse in the first moment. They just need someone to drop off food, send a song, or just sit with them in silence, or even just pray for them. When we're grieving, or when we're sick, or when we're facing a crisis, a good, healthy community will hold space for our pain and allow us to go through that process of pain without judging, without making you feel uncomfortable about the feelings you're processing. Grief needs companions, not commentators. You don't need people coming and lecturing you about how you're processing your grief. When someone is hurting, we learn to say, I'm here. I'm not afraid of your tears. Go ahead and spill them. Tell me, how can I lighten today for you? Even if it's just by a little bit. And you know what? Then do the little bit. My pet peeve is people who say, whatever you need, I'll be here for you. And when you look for them, they're not there, gone. Not there for you. So if you're going to offer to lighten someone's load, then be there. That's how we build these healthy communities. Be there, drop a meal, sit with them, pray with them. And then there's a season of rebuilding. Ha! And this is particularly so true for most of us, who've been in our careers for a while, and now we're in this new day and age of the rise in technology and AI and all the new skill sets that we have to learn. Our confidence can be a little bit shaky. We can feel a little bit unsure, but we can borrow strength and encouragement and an accountability from others until we feel steady. Community helps us find our footing again. After a failure, a loss, or a life transition, community becomes the scaffolding that we stand on, and we borrow this confidence until our own returns. A safe community will be there to give you accountability, not surveillance, but support. Someone recovering from burnout, and I say this personally, may just need, sorry, I say that when I say personal, I say from personal experience. Recovering from burnout, sometimes all you want is someone checking in. Did you rest today? Did you eat? Do you want me to talk and walk with you? Can I call you? Do you want to talk? May God help us and teach us to be there for each other at the speed of compassion, not convenience, not so that we have news to spread. Right, so now that we know what a healthy community looks like, we know what our barriers to these communities are, what are some of the ways that we can find or build these communities for ourselves? I have some suggestions, but I'm sure many of you out there have done this and got the t-shirt. So you're pros at this. And if you are, again, let me know so we can share these suggestions and grow and build our community. So my suggestions are, number one, start small. Start, maybe pick two consistent touch points that you can have, like join a weekly small group or Bible group or a church team. Or maybe you can tell yourself, this month I'm going to invite 2 or 3 people for an afternoon coffee or for brunch, and then just share some time with them. No fuss, low fuss, but high heart. Do it all from here. Number 2, serve somewhere. Shared missions usually forge fast bonds. That's why you find that when kids are on a team together, they become friends. I recently actually started playing tennis, and I just made some like new friends because we all come with this shared passion for the sport. You can volunteer with a local outreach ministry or mentor some young people or join a hospitality team or any other team at your church. A shared mission is usually a good way for people to get glued together. And finally, you can create a simple rhythm for yourself. This is one of my favorites. I have what I call a Text Tuesdays. So every Tuesday, I send 3 check-in texts to different people. Could be family, could be friends. I'm just checking in on you. How you doing? You okay? I haven't heard from you in a while. Is everything okay? I hope you're good. Or, is there any way I can pray for you? Usually if they respond and, tell me something, is there a way I can pray for you? Or do you want to talk? Do you want to go for coffee? What have you? Or you could have a walk and pray. So, if you live near somebody, you could say, hey, you want to go for a prayer walk with me? Um, I've seen people do that. They just talk things out as they walk, you know? Or if you work in an environment, or maybe in school, or you have those environments where people sit together, like at a cafeteria to have lunch or take their breaks together, you could always have this open chair rule where you always leave a spot open at your table or in your group for somebody to join, right? That's a very simple way to build your your community. So there are some boundaries that we need to set when we build our communities around us. Remember, I said boundaries create that safety. So a healthy community is not clingy. They're not like, stick with me. No, no, you're not clingy. But there's some few necessary things. The first one is confidentiality. A healthy community will understand that what is shared in the circle stays in the circle. It's not going to become tomorrow's morning news. A healthy community will ask for consent, before just offering advice or even touching. Some people are very sensitive to being touched, you know. I'm a very touchy person. I like to hug, I like to comfort, but things have changed now. Things have changed. You can just politely ask someone before you touch them if you can comfort them. And that, again, that depends on how well you know each other. There's some people I've known a long time, I don't even need to ask. But if I'm meeting somebody for the first time, obviously I will ask them if they're comfortable, if I can give them a hug. The important one is capacity. You have to know that you are not everyone's everything, right? You can't solve or take on everybody's burdens. You're just there to hear and listen. You're not there to take it on. You know that you can refer these people to the pastors and the counselors and the professionals when needed, right? And when there's moments of conflict, you speak to the people, not about people. Quick repair beats silent resentment. So the thing is, you can be loving and boundaried. That is what Christ-like stewardship in a community looks like. So, are you ready for a little gentle stretch? I would like to give you a 7-day challenge, a 7-day community challenge, a little challenge that you can take on to explore or build a healthy network of people that's around you and to reach out to other people. So, day one, you will write down the names of 5 people that you would like to lean towards during the month. This is the month of October. On day 2, you will send to 2 of them, thinking of you, how can I pray for you text message. Or you could sit with someone new at your church, or invite someone that you just gotten to know, invite them for coffee. Have some coffee. Or someone that should be in your community, you haven't been in touch for a while. Get together. Try and make an effort to get together this month. Day 4, put a recurring 30-minute community block on your calendar. Just one day a week, 30 minutes, I am going to do something within my community of people. And when I say community, I'm not necessarily talking about the people who live around you. I'm talking about the people in your circle, your close circle, your community, right? And then day 5, you have those 3 other people left. Send them a text, call it a text Tuesday type of thing. Check in on them. Share a verse with them. Right? And then day 6 and 7, plan either a night out with somebody, coffee out or invite someone to your house, have a time of sharing stories, scriptures, and a bite to eat. So there's your challenge. 7 days of trying to reach out to people and connecting and letting them know you are there for them. That's my community challenge for you. So, I've been here waffling for a long time and I'm going to close now. But in closing, I implore you to reflect with me just for a little bit. Who has been community to you in this season? If you can think of them, I'd like you to whisper their names and give thanks to God for them. Where do you feel isolated? In what areas do you feel isolated? Can you offer that empty chair to Jesus? Talk to him and tell him, don't wallow in isolation. What one step will you take in the next 48 hours to move toward people, to build relationships, to connect? Remember, as the years go by, it's the friendships we nurture that shine the brightest. Good friends are treasures. They are rare, they're irreplaceable, and deeply shaping. Community is God's gift to remind us that life is sweeter, it's safer, and it's more meaningful when we share it. That's all I have for you this week, folks, this month. But if this episode blessed you, I ask that you share it with a friend who might need some encouragement today. Also, if you could leave me a comment or a text, if you have my contact details, let me know how your community challenge is going. I'll be cheering you on, and you know what? I'll be trying it myself too. But remember, you don't have to do life alone. The table is wide, the chairs are many, and there's always a place with your name on it. So until next time, grace and peace. God bless you. Have a happy First Friday. Take care.